All right, welcome back. So in our last few explainers, we really dug into the theory behind live ops. But today we're shifting gears from theory to execution. Because look, knowing what an event is, that's one thing. But planning them out the right way, that's where mastery truly begins.
Here's a little truth that most game dev teams learn the hard way. Just running events is actually the easy part.
The top games out there, they don't just have events. They follow this structured emotional rhythm. And that rhythm is planned out weeks, sometimes even months in advance, using one of the most powerful tools in game strategy, the live ops calendar. So let's dive in.
Okay, so what happens when you don't have a plan? Well, you get chaos. And let me tell you, running events randomly is one of the fastest ways to absolutely destroy your player retention.
And you can see the difference right here. It's pretty stark. Without a calendar, events are just crashing into each other. That sense of urgency completely loses its meaning, players burn out, and your revenue becomes totally unstable. But with a calendar, now you can build habits, you can make those urgent moments feel genuinely meaningful, and you create these really intentional seasonal arcs. It's all about designing a rhythm.
So here's the crucial point. A live ops calendar is not just a schedule. Think of it as a 4 to 12-week roadmap. It defines what runs, when it runs, how the events overlap, and, this is key, when players get some much-needed breathing space. It's a tool for controlling the emotional pacing of your game. To build this rhythm, most of the top games think in terms of 4 distinct layers, and they're all running at the same time to create a really balanced experience. These layers are the daily foundation, which is all about habit, the weekly momentum, which brings the excitement, the seasonal arc to give players direction, and of course, those carefully timed revenue moments. Let's break down exactly how each one of these works. First up, you have the daily foundation. This is the bedrock of your game. We're talking daily login rewards, quests, maybe a free chess timer. These are your habit builders. They absolutely have to be predictable, stable, and completely non-stressful. Their entire job is just to create consistency and routine. Now on top of that, you've got your weekly momentum. These are your short-term rotating events that might last 3 to 7 days, things like leaderboards, double reward weekends, mini tournaments. They're what create those awesome spikes of urgency and excitement. The key rule here? Rotate the themes, not the core systems. That keeps things fresh for your players without creating a total production nightmare. The third layer is your seasonal arc. This is your long-term progression, running for about 4 to 6 weeks. Think of a season pass, or a big collection event, or a story arc. This is what gives your players a larger sense of purpose, a real direction. Because without these long-term goals, players eventually just start to drift. And finally, we have the revenue moments. These are your carefully timed monetization spikes, holiday bundles, anniversary sales, or exclusive collaborations. And this is where the strategy gets really smart. These are never random. They are engineered around player spending cycles and those peaks in engagement.
Okay, so that's the theory. Now let's see how this rhythm is actually built in the real world. I've got a few examples for you. Let's take an idle game like Carnival Tycoon. For this kind of game, rhythm is everything, because the core loop is pretty simple. The daily layer builds that routine, but the weekly layer rotates between events like a double revenue week and a guest rush weekend. It creates this calm, then spike, then calm pattern, all building towards a larger seasonal push like a summer festival. See? It's rhythm over chaos.
Now for a competitive game like Clash Royale, the challenge is managing tension. Their weekly layer rotates different challenge modes, which keeps the meta fresh without needing constant major updates. Then the 28-day season gives a hard reset on all that tension. It's a strategic balancing act. Too many events would cause burnout. Too few would just lead to boredom. And in idle miner-style games, the calendar basically provides progression relief. Those short-term events, like a limited-time mine, are designed specifically to break up what can become a really flat progression curve. Then the revenue moments are timed perfectly, like offering a booster pack just when a player is so close to a big milestone. So, we've looked at the layers and some examples. How do you actually master the tempo and avoid the biggest pitfalls?
What do you think is the single biggest mistake that teams make when they're planning out their live ops?
It's this, right here. They forget to let the calendar breathe. If every week is urgent, then nothing feels urgent. You have to design it like you're composing a piece of music. You build tension, you hit a peak, and then you have a moment of rest before you start building again.
So here's a really simple, practical template to start with. Week 1, you launch a major event. Week 2, you run a simpler rotation event. Week 3, maybe you do a special weekend event. And crucially, Week 4 is a cooldown. It's a chance for your players to relax and for you to tease what's coming up next.
Because your players are never going to see your planning spreadsheet. What they feel is the rhythm. They can feel when something exciting is coming. They feel when the pressure is building. They feel when generosity is spiking. And they feel when the game finally lets them relax. That whole emotional wave is completely engineered by the calendar.
So let's just nail this down. The final takeaway is super simple. Daily events, they build habit.
Weekly events, they build urgency. And seasonal events, they build direction.
But above all else, rhythm. Rhythm builds longevity. Without a calendar, live ops is just reactive. But with a calendar, it becomes a strategic tool for creating a game that players will stick with for years to come.